Hello, welcome back to music. It's Mrs. Rogers here, ready to teach you some more about music today. So use your good listening ears, and here we go. We talked last week, let's do a quick review about the steady beat. The steady beat is like a heartbeat. The heartbeat, it stays the same, it's consistent through the song. It can go fast, it can go slow, and it can go somewhere in the middle, okay? So the beat stays the same. Then we talked about rhythm, one of the 7 elements of music, but the rhythm changes with the words. The rhythm has short and long sounds and can change as you sing or as the instruments play, but it follows the steady beat. So the steady beat stays the same, but the rhythm can change, all right? So rhythm, like I said, is one of those 7 elements of music, one of the foundational parts of music. Without an organized rhythm, the song would just not make any sense. You would not know what to play, and you would not know what you're listening to. So how we learn about rhythm is by note values. Note values, what is the note worth? So think about that like you're learning in math about numbers and value, the value that a number has or the value that a coin has. Note values are the same idea. How much is it worth? How much time does the note take up? Okay, how many beats, how much time, how many of the steady beats does the note take up? So let's look at those today. The first one we're going to look at is the open oval, kind of like a circle, but a little bit more squished. Nothing in the middle, just black around the edges. That's a whole note. Whole note. This is a long sound in music. It gets 4 beats. 4 beats. So it sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. So it's a longer note. I hold it out. Okay, and it's worth 4. We're going to look at them again in a second too, but let's say it back and forth. I say whole note gets 4 beats, 4 beats. The whole note gets 4 beats. Okay, whole note, 4 beats. Long sound in music. Now, the next one we're going to look at is a half note. Has this very similar looking oval as a whole note, but now it has a stem. We call this a stem. You can see it going up, you can see it going down, okay, either way on music, but it's a half note, a half note. It gets 2 beats. It's half of the value of a whole note. So 2 beats, half note, half note. The next one we're going to look at is a quarter note. Now look, it's colored in, it's black the whole way through, also has a stem. Okay, again, you can see it either way on the music with the stem. Okay, it's black and colored in, stem. That's a quarter note. Quarter note, that gets 1 beat. 1 beat. Let's say that one. I say it, you say it. Ready? Quarter note gets 1 beat. The quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, quarter note gets 1 beat. Now, let's do one more. If I cut this one in half, okay, cut it in half, I'm going to get the 8th note. The 8th note. Now look, it looks very similar to a quarter note. It's black and colored in, has a stem, and now it has a flag. That's what we call this right here. The little, it looks like a tail, kind of. We call it a flag. So this is an 8th note. This is 1/8 note. 8th note gets half of a beat. And here is 2/8 notes. If we see them together, we put a bar on the top. Okay, they do that because when you start to see a bunch of them on the music, the flags can get hard to see on all the lines, so they give you a bar if there's going to be a pair of them or 2/8 notes together. So these are all 8th notes, 1 single one or 2 together. Okay, 8th notes get half a beat, half a beat. All right, let's look at them one more way today. And again, most of you should recognize these, but it's a great way to visualize the rhythms. And just as a review as we get started this school year, learning about our music, here's my music note Legos, all right? This is a whole note, okay? So this will be a whole note there. Open oval, it gets 4 beats like the 4 bumps on top. 4 beats for the 4 bumps on top. I count this by saying the number 1 and holding it out using my inner voice. Think back to all our voices. Our inner voice is our thinking voice inside of our head. Okay, so I say and hold 1 and I think 2, 3, 4. So this is what it sounds like. 1, 1. Okay, try that with me. I'll say 1, 2, ready, go. You say 1 and hold it out. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 1, 1. Ready and stop. There's our whole note. Now, if I take my sharp scissors, okay, and I cut it in half, I want to make 2 pieces, so that's cutting in half. I'm going to get a half note. A half note, open circle with a stem, 2 beats. There's 2 bumps on the top. We count it with the number, and then we think and hold the number 2. So we say 1, we hold it out, but just for 2 beats this time, like this. 1, 1. Okay, if I put another one on there, to make up the same amount of space, now I have 2 half notes to make the same space as 1 whole note. So now I'm going to count and say 1, hold it for 2, count and say 3, hold it for 4. I do that because beat number 2 is still here. I'm just going to think it. So I say 1, 3, 1, 3, and I'm thinking the 2, and I'm thinking the 4 in my mind. So try that with me. I'll say 1, 2, ready, go. You help me count these 2 half notes. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 3, 1, 3. One more. 1, 3, ready, and stop. Okay, there's our half notes. Now if I take that half note and I use my super sharp scissors and I cut it in half again. Cut it in half again. I am going to get a note like this. There's my quarter note. Quarter note has 1 beat, 1 bump on the top. Its value is 1, and it looks like this. Just gets 1. So I just count the number, but I can't hold it out. I just got to say 1. 1. On the piano, it might sound like this. Just 1 beat. Okay? Now, if I want to fill in my measure, okay? Here's what 4 quarter notes in a row are going to look like, and we're going to say each number of the beat. So now we count with every number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? I'm going to say 1, 2, ready, go. You count with me. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready, and stop. There's our 4 beats, our steady beats. Each one gets a number because there's 4 here in this measure. This is also how we get the quarter note name. Okay, there's 4 to make up a whole. So think about like money. 4 quarters, 4 pieces make $1. 4 quarter notes make 1 whole note. That's where they get their name. They're worth 1 beat, and altogether, if we put 4 of them, then they make the same amount of space, the same value as a whole note. All right? So, let's do all 3 rows here in a row. We're going to count the quarter notes. Then we're gonna count and hold 1, 3, and then we're gonna count and hold that whole note. So we'll say 1, we'll hold it out for 4. Okay, so each row, one time, but we're gonna run them all together. I'll say 1, 2, ready, go. See if you can help me. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1, and stop. Okay, very good. Those are our beginning note values now. We talked about the 8th note. If I took this quarter note and I cut it in half again, I don't have any like this, but if I cut it in half, I'd end up with 2 very small pieces, okay? 2 small pieces, and that would be how we would look at an 8th note. Half of a quarter note makes an 8th note. So that means how many 8th notes? Think about this one. How many 8th notes do you need to make a quarter note? Well, we can count by groups of 2, and we have 4 beats. So let's count them. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so it takes 8 8th notes to make a whole note. And that's how they get their name, because there's 8 of them to make a whole note. Okay, we'll learn more about 8th notes as we get really good at whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. All right, the last thing I want to show you, we're going to do quick today, and then we'll look at them some more next week. Or what do we do if we don't want any sound for a note, okay, for a space, a value? Well, then we need some rests. Rests, okay? Rests have value just the same as notes have value. So if you see the rest, that means you're silent. There's nothing happening for the same amount of space as the note, okay? So just briefly today, we'll learn some more next week. This is a quarter rest. So note, a quarter note we play, a quarter rest, there's no sound. We just rest, okay? Then we can look at, let's go the opposite direction here. A half note, okay? We play or sing for 2, but a half rest, we're quiet for 2 beats, okay? Then this one right here is a whole rest. You'll notice it looks really similar to the half. I'll tell you a way to remember those here. But this is a whole rest. Its value is also 4. 4 beats, either we're singing or playing, or 4 beats of silence. Okay? And then the last one is the 8th rest. The 8th rest. And it looks like this one. Okay? And here's the 8th note. So 8th rest, 8th note. Now, how do we know which one's a half and a whole? See if you can remember this from last year. The half rest, half and hat, it looks like a hat that sits on your head. Half and hat, they both say H-A. Okay, half and hat. This is a whole rest. I say it also looks like a hat, but it's the whole way off. If I had a fancy top hat on and I took it off the whole way off, it's going to be like the upside down hat. The whole way off is the whole rest. The hat on the head is a half. Okay, so half and whole. All right, so note values. Note values tell us how long, how many beats of our steady beats to hold the note for. We can make them short, we can make them long, we can make them somewhere in the middle, any way we want them to sound. Okay, whole note, half note, quarter note, 8th notes, and the rest. Don't worry, we'll practice more next week. Have a great week, and I'll see you back soon.